Street racing is something that happens because it's an alternative because going racing gets too expensive. Nobody really cares about getting people off the street. They care about making a dollar. And that's the biggest problem you have with what's going on today.
It's never gonna stop. Like, it's never gonna stop. There's always gonna be those people who can't go to a track, don't have a license to race at a track. You know, there's always gonna be people who, by necessity, have to use the streets.
Choosing the street, okay. Choosing the street, the first you wanna make sure it's smooth. That's first of all. You want a smooth street. You don't want no speed bumps. You don't want no dips, no potholes, nothing. I mean, as long as it's smooth, you're good. On top of that, you want a long street that doesn't curve. That way, after the race, they still have enough room to shut down. Another thing you don't want is little side streets on them. If there's no side streets, then you like it, or driveways. Another factor in choosing a street would be you don't want to be too close to houses. I present to you Glen Oak Speedway. Busy in the daytime, busy at nighttime, but when we're here, we block this shit off and it's ours. Should I use my first name with that, or just leave it as just Instagram name? All right, well, my name's Edward.
No, Edward.
That's what I just said. Should I use my first name? I said, should I use my first name with that?
No, first name I meant to, sorry. No,
yeah, oh, yeah, my first name is 818, yeah.
Never say Edward.
That's what I'm saying. You said, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you gonna do it?
No, I'm not gonna do that. That's all. I will. That right there is an Instagram page. It's 818-1320. The first three numbers is the area code for the valley. Most of the valley is all 818 numbers, and 1320 is how many feet are in a quarter mile. So it just kind of it goes together well. 818-1320. That's just the valley and the distance that people race. People may call this a code word for racing, or a nickname, but it's really just the distance in what we race, which is a quarter mile, and that's from starting line to finish line. So it's just 818-1320. Yeah, you don't want to be the fastest, or you don't want people to think you're the fastest. You want to sit here and have a car that looks slow but is fast. Some people may call that a sleeper. I mean, it's not you don't ever want the fastest car. In this day and age, fast cars don't win races as often as good negotiators, because you may have the fastest car, but if you're cocky, someone's gonna say, hey, give me 2-3 car lengths, meaning, space me out 2-3 car lengths in front of the starting line. And if you're cocky because you know you have the fastest car, you're gonna give it to them. Now, what if that car's just as fast as you and it just looks slow, or looks like a piece of shit? You're gonna give it to them being cocky, and you're gonna lose at the finish line by 2-3 car lengths, which is what you gave them. So it's more of a trying to out hustle the opponent. It's not just about having the fast car. If there's 2 cars where one is faster, there's also a matter of what street you're racing on. Each street's gonna be different. Some streets look like this, very little rubber. Other streets have very thick rubber. And there's other streets that have literally no rubber. If it's someone that's out of the area, it's easier to hustle them like that. Most rear-wheel drive cars, you're gonna need some sort of rubber. I mean, if you race out the rubber, if you get spaced out too far up, or if you start too far behind where there is no rubber, then you're gonna go ahead and spin. I mean, if you don't prep that street right, you're gonna spin all day. And like I said, if you're out of the area and you don't know the streets, and I know your car needs that rubber, I'm gonna take you to a street that doesn't have rubber, because that's just how it is. I mean, it's just, you wanna get to the finish line before your opponent. Simple as that. I don't care how fast you go there, you just wanna get there before him. So if he stays there spinning, and Topping's gonna be catching up very fast, you want a short street or you want a street where he's gonna spin all day. I mean, traction is everything. Some cars may have less horsepower, but hook and go, meaning they have full traction, they take off without spinning at all, while other cars that have, 700 horsepower, they're gonna sit here spinning. They're gonna stay here going left and right, and never gonna catch up. People often argue that opening tracks nearby might stop the street racing. In my opinion, no, you're never gonna stop it because there's a lot of cars, a lot of people that refuse to go to tracks, whether it be because they don't want their times to be shown to the public, or a lot of tracks, they have a lot of rules, very strict rules. Certain cars need roll cages, your helmets, a fire jacket, a license. I mean, something as stupid as that. A lot of people out here racing, not everyone has licenses. All right, when Usan raced at GTR, he did, the first race he gave him 2 in the go, and then the second race he gave him 1 in the go. Now, with that race, it might have been cockiness, but I know his car did break at the end. I don't know how much it affected the race, but that's another thing too. If your negotiator is very stubborn, so if you're dealing with someone that's very stubborn and they're saying, no, we want 1 in the go, and that's what we're gonna stick with. Like I said, negotiators win the races, not the cars. If in that case, if they would have went head up, I think Usan would have won that race. But he gave him 1 in the go and he ended up losing. I think it was a close race though. And I don't want to say that race lost due to his cockiness, because I think his car's fast. I'm not sure what happened that day. 1 in the go is a lot of space. I mean, the go itself, the go means as soon as you see the car move, you're moving right behind them. People think that's not a lot, but that may be, half a second. Half a second at the starting line doesn't look like much, but at the finish line, half a second is a very big difference. Street racing, that's another thing too. That's another thing I would always ask for. If I'm negotiating a race, I'm gonna sit here like, okay, you know what? They're offering me a car, I'm gonna say, no, that's okay, I don't want the car. Go ahead and just give me the go. Because right there, I can even hustle them even further. I can get to the starting line, and let's say it's not even me racing. Just recently, we had a 350Z race a truck out from the 805. And the truck was in the left lane, the Z was on the right lane. They were gonna give him some car spaces. I said, no, fuck your car spaces. Just give them the go. That's all we want. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, that's all I want. That's fine. So what I did there, I was stood between the cars. The passenger side of the truck window was down. I was like, okay, are you ready? I'm like, as soon as you're ready, I'm gonna go ahead and turn around and tell him to get ready. And when he's ready, he's gonna take off. So right away, in that truck's mind, he thinks as soon as he says he's ready, he has about 2-3 seconds before that car actually leaves. So what I did, I stood by his truck, I put my hand on his window, and I told the Z driver, I was like, look, my hand's gonna be behind my back. As soon as you see my thumb come up, just take off. He's like, all right. So I'm like, as soon as you see me like turn around, tuck to the truck, you better just be ready to go. So as soon as you see my thumb, you take off. So what I did, I said, hey truck, are you ready? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay, but are you ready? Meanwhile, my thumb's coming up behind my back. I was like, you ready? He's like, yeah. So until he said, yeah, he's looking at me still. The Z takes off. So he's looking at me, looks at the Z like, oh shit. So that gave us about a 2-second head start. That race ended up being very close. Literally, the Z won by 1 car. And if he didn't get that good of a go, if I would have made it so where usually the guy flashes his lights, so when the other guy sees the lights flash, he takes off. So if we would have left it to that, we would have lost that race. It was only for like $200, but that money in your pocket pays for your food or pays for your gas, for 3-4 people. So you all put like $20, $30 each. It's not that much, but if you're doing 2-3 of those a night or maybe 2-3 times a week, hey, that's your gas tank. That's your food. It adds up. As far as my role, like I said, cops may say.
Not like I said.
I don't want
no context.
Okay, well I don't want to say.
Yeah, but just don't say like I said, because otherwise, like you're implying that you said something else before. And I don't know
like I said. Okay, yeah,
don't say like I said.
Okay. So as far as me, my role, some cops or some people would say that I ran the meets. That's their opinion. I never ran nothing. That's what I say. That's what I'm gonna stick to. But they say I used to run and organize them. You know, and if that was the case, I mean, that's like I said, that's their opinion. Eventually, you know, someone were to do that, they would. If someone did run the meet, they might have just backed away, thinking something might happen, an accident or something. So now, like I said, I had a strong influence on the meets. I'll say that. They would ask me, hey, where should we go next? And I'd be like, look, what I would do is this. And they're like, okay, cool. And then they go ahead and do it.
Did you feel you were going to be next? And I mean, why do you think you haven't been caught? Because you're very popular.
At one point, I would say I was very popular. Where some people think I did run the meets for a while. If that was the case, most people in that scenario, all good things come to an end. I mean, you got to learn to back away at the right time, especially the way it was going during that time. That was what, 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. The crowds were big. If on Instagram, 818-1320, hey, meet tonight, you would see it. The parking lot would get full. Like, you'd see 300, 400, 500 cars sometimes. And would come straight here, since it was the closest spot to where we meet up at the North Hollywood Theater, the 3 Theater. And this street would be so packed, all on the right, all on the left, cars behind us. I mean, the meets were too packed. And I knew that the crowds it was drawing was younger and younger. And at that time, that's when summertime was coming around. Summertime is good and bad. The meets get big with more people that are just fresh out of high school, and they're bringing their mom and dad's cars. Fucking, you see minivans out here. You see a bunch of different cars. You know, sometimes these dads have these brand new Mercedes that the kids think are very fast, and they think, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go street race, try to make some money. Little do they know that that car they're bringing out has so much power for the street. They're gonna spin all day. Meanwhile, they're looking at our cars, whether it be a Trans Am on tire or a Camaro on tire. To them, they don't know what they're looking at. Little do they know that that car's gonna get to that finish line before they do. So we didn't find out till once they let him go. You know, he told us everything would happen. Like, oh fuck, like we weren't really expecting that. So that was a pretty big eye opener. I mean, in the police report, it said they had 4 undercovers in the crowd, and they documented everything as far as what he was doing, how he was doing it, and they had pictures of him flagging. I mean, that's why some people that do run meets, they back away, and they push it on somebody else. At that time, summertime was coming around, and I was like, no, you know what? The way this is going, there's a very big crowd coming. It's getting bigger and bigger. So there's gonna be an accident soon. The way these idiots are driving, a lot of these Honda owners, they get to a red light. As soon as it turns green, they're gonna go 100 miles an hour and just slam on the brakes over there. Meanwhile, they cross 100 little streets, and if at any point someone comes down the little streets, they're fucked. They're gonna crash and die, or they're gonna kill somebody. So I'm like, you know what? I need to back away now. Nothing that's happened bad yet. I'm just gonna back away. Sure enough, months later, there was a very bad accident on Canoga, and I don't want to call that lucky timing, but that race wasn't even for part of the meets. That was just, you know, something that was set up in private. The people hit each other up and they negotiated their own race. That wasn't part of a meet, but the cops see it all the same. They don't know the differences between a car meet, a street race, a takeover. To them, it's all one big crowd, but if you go to these 3 different events, you're gonna see way different people. I mean, the takeovers have its own group of people, street races have their own people, car meets have their own people. There's some people that do join all 3 events or go to all 3 types of events, but at the same time, it's still its own community amongst the whole car community as a whole. So we'll say like there's subdivisions, and it's all the same group, car scene enthusiasts or car enthusiasts, but each has its own variety of people.